Alright, what's up, guys? We're going to cover a little more in the NBA right now, as we already know the NBA season's about to come approach us in the next 3 weeks or so. Training camp will be coming in a week or two, and there's a couple remaining free agents wanted to kind of shed some light on and kind of give my take. We already know it's been around 3-4 days of free agency. I don't know if it's less or more. Time's been flying when it came here to COVID. Basically, let's cover about real quickly who's been signed, kind of key names, and then we're going to cover within here the remaining free agents and if I could see them join the team for how much, kind of free flowing on here. For example, Brandon Ingram, restricted free agent, he stayed with the Pelicans. Same thing for Evan Mobley, he stayed with the Toronto Raptors. We did see with Gordon Hayward, kind of a one no one really expected. He signed with the Charlotte Hornets. It's going to be very interesting on that part. I'm glad they got LaMelo Ball with the Charlotte Hornets. I think they're actually going to be around a 10th or 11th seed, worst case scenario, next season. I think in 2022 they'll be in the playoff push. Who else we got? Anthony Davis, AD, he gave a verbal to go back to the Lakers, but looks like, and reports are showing, they want to see what happens with Giannis, if he signs that Supermax extension for 5 years with Milwaukee, or if he passes by it. And that's going to determine if Anthony Davis wants to go on 1v1 on a year or on a 5-year deal, potentially to recruit Giannis in 2022 or 2021. Let's see what that's about. I'm not going to touch too much on that. Bojan Bogdanovic, he signed with the Atlanta Hawks. The Pelicans, or not the Pelicans, the Kings did not match that offer. So Atlanta's got to lose something good as they're trying to push the playoffs, which I expect to happen. Who else you got here? Danilo Gallinari, he joined the Atlanta Hawks as well, which is going to be a very good pickup for them. They got two. Trae Young pretty much was doing it all by himself offensively his first 2 seasons. Now you got Bogdanovic and you got Danilo Gallinari, so kudos to them. Jeremy Grant, that was a curveball. I did not expect him to sign $60 million with the Pistons, but he actually decided to go off there. Who else we got? Kind of other ones as well. DJ Augustin to the Bucks. Montrezl Harrell to the Lakers. Now that was a shocking one, and I expected Montrezl Harrell to get paid like $20 million to go like the Hornets for a bottom feeder, but he joined the next door Lakers for $9 million, which is wild for the 6th man of the year. Serge Ibaka to the Clippers. Kind of expected. I actually thought he would have gone to the Brooklyn Nets before the LA Clippers, but that's something that was much needed for the Clippers. Avery Bradley to the Miami Heat. Tristan Thompson to the Celtics. Dragic stays. Rajon Rondo to the Hawks. That was a surprise. Trying to think what else. Who else we got here? Marcus All to the Lakers. Great pick. Looks like Nerlens Noel went to the New York Knicks. Okay. Jahlil Okafor to the Pistons. That was interesting as well. Wesley Matthews to the Lakers. Kind of other little ones as well. We've had a couple of trades. Dennis Schroeder to the Lakers. Now that was one that was pretty crazy. Besides that, I've been stating in my other videos that basically the 2020 free agency class is pretty whack. There's some good role players, but there's no true superstars. The only star players were, you had Anthony Davis, you had Andre Drummond, who opted in. He didn't become a unrestricted free agent. DeMar DeRozan opted in, so it looks like he's probably going to get signed and trade. And things like that. So let's look at our screen right now. So we're at the remaining free agents here. So basically Hassan Whiteside, he was pretty much getting paid around $20 million plus, and he's not going back to the Blazers. There's not a lot of teams right now that can pick up Hassan Whiteside to give him $15 million or above. He's in a peculiar situation, man. I think he'll probably go to a contender for a 1-year deal, kind of like a DeMarcus Cousins or Dwight Howard situation. Now, to go to a veteran's minimum, that's way too little. But I think for him, ideally, I think he would take a pay cut to take a 1-year deal for the Clippers. They truly need a big. Kind of looking at other teams that would kind of fit him in his mold. It's kind of weird because there's not a lot of demand for bigs these day and age in the NBA. And basically, when it comes to cap space, there's not a lot of cap space here for most of these teams to give Hassan Whiteside $15 million. I don't see it. If he's going to go to a contender, the Clippers, I would say so. They really, truly need a big. They got Serge Ibaka, but they can move Ibaka to the 4 and Drummond at the 5. Besides from that, I doubt he goes back to the Blazers. Let's see who they got right now. They got Nurkic. They made a trade for Enes Kanter, so they're departing away from him. Besides from any other contenders, I don't really think anything with Hassan Whiteside. Maybe the Boston Celtics. Now that could be pretty interesting as well. But we'll kind of skip a little further from him. Taj Gibson, very same situation, but he'll probably be getting paid the mid-level exception, let alone a veteran minimum type deal. I think Taj Gibson would be ideal to join the Brooklyn Nets. They need some Rough Riders. They need some vets on their team, and they could really use them. I think Brooklyn would be the way to go. Kind of free flowing on top of my head. Taj Gibson, he can go anywhere in any contender basically. Not a high demand. Isaiah Thomas, he's allegedly finally healthy. We already seen he's been blackballed by the Celtics and being traded away from the Wizards and the Clippers. Isaiah Thomas deserves to be on a roster spot in the league. Now, if you're looking at teams that could really use a backup point guard, first one that came to my head is going back to the Boston Celtics. Kind of looking with Danny Ainge and how they kind of treated him, I doubt that'll be the case. It looks like they actually brought in Jeff Teague, but they still could use Isaiah Thomas. Going back into the Celtics, let me think of any other. I know there's one other team that could really use a backup point guard. 76ers could probably use that. The Milwaukee Bucks, maybe. But the Boston Celtics, they made an offensive game plan with Brad Stevens that really complemented and spotlighted Mr. Isaiah Thomas. So, trying to think of other contenders that could use for him. I mean, the Clippers are looking for a point guard on their team. I don't know if they go with the Isaiah Thomas route or not, but I kind of doubt that on their part. But they need an offensive floor general. IT's in a weird situation, man. He may get blackballed from the league, and he might as well not come back based on teams kind of bringing in or not. And he's got a lot of potential. He's still good in this league. I mean, he's still young. I think he's like around 30. Not a lot of chances out there for him, which is something. But I mean, I could pretty much see him to be a free agent once again, and he may get blackballed to where he won't return to the league. Kind of, it was 2017, and he was a star player. He was top 3 in MVP voting, and then he got traded to the Cavs. He got injured, and then ever since he went downward to a 6-man bench player, role player, and then pretty much a free agent. So Reggie Jackson, I'm very surprised no one's picked him up as of right now. He could really be used again for any contender. If you're a bottom feeder and you pretty much just want to throw him the bag and let him just go out there and do whatever, you can be able to do that. There's not a lot of and again, guys, with these players, they're good players, they're good role players. But the thing is, there's so much money that's been thrown around in the NBA. There's not a lot of cap space, and this is a game full of a bunch of guards out here. So you're really not going to need some of these 30-year-olds anymore, because in the draft, there's so many there's so many potential star players that are guards that teams are just going across. So if you're Reggie Jackson right now, Reggie Jackson probably, I'm trying to think of a team. Basically, I mean, that could really use a backup point guard. And same thing with Isaiah Thomas, but Reggie Jackson's more formidable in the league as of right now. I mean, the Pistons already dropped him. That's not going to happen. I mean, maybe the Houston Rockets, I guess. I mean, I don't know. The NBA is in a weird spot as of right now. Some teams are rebuilding. Some teams are trying to figure things out. The Portland Trailblazers need a backup point guard, so Reggie Jackson could be ideal for them. The Blazers are around 10 deep, so if you can get him from a veteran minimum type player for 1 year, definitely pick him up for the Portland Trailblazers. Who else? I mean, the Wizards could probably do it. Reggie Jackson's going to find a team. He will find a team. Who else we got right here? Let me go a little quicker. So Shabazz Napier, I don't know. A team may give him a 10-day contract, anything like that. But again, there's a lot of guards out here. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, I'm surprised no one's picked him up as of yet. He's 25 years of age. He's a team that could fit on the Brooklyn Nets, that could use him out of 4. Because they only have Taurean Prince as of right now. They really need some more 4s. The Brooklyn Nets brought in Jeff Green, so that could be a good pick for him as well. After the Nuggets lost Jeremy Grant, they could probably go the direction of a Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. to bring him on the team and franchise. Pretty much if you're a player who's a power forward or a 4 wing, if you can play just 3 and D and think defend, you're good to go. The team will find you. I think Gerald Green's pretty much out of the NBA based on his injury and where he's at. I think he won't really return, if anything. Frank the Tank, 27 years of age. I'm surprised the Phoenix Suns have not made a move to bring him back on their team and franchise. Now the Phoenix Suns are 10 deep as of right now. They've been putting in work. Frank the Tank could find any team. I think if you're the LA Clippers, that's kind of a first team that kind of comes to mind when it thinks of me on that. John Henson, he's pretty much out of the league. Glenn Robinson Jr. are the third. He can find a team in the NBA. He's pretty much the same thing, a small forward, a 3 and D type player with length, but nothing ideally. But basically, as of right now, man, there's not a lot of free agents out here. I mean, Jordan Bell's on the Lakers. I don't know if they're going to waive him or not. Pau Gasol, there's been rumors of bringing him back to the LA Lakers with Marc Gasol and kind of finish things off. That would be a nice gesture, but I think if anything, the Lakers probably mid-season or the first game, whatever, they'll sign him for like a 10-day contract or whatever, and he won't play, but he'll get a welcome with the fans, and then they'll retire his jersey. I could see something like that, especially on the ring day ceremony. Nah, man, these players are just kind of out of there. Ian Mahinmi, he's going to be out of the league. Jordan McRae, he'll probably go back to the G League or he's done with. Man, Scal had a lot of potential when he was a rookie. It's crazy how he hasn't reached anything as we've seen. Kyle Quinn's done with. Marvin Williams, I think Marvin Williams can find a team for one more season. Yeah, but basically everything's doo-doo right now. Kyle Korver, all right, so Kyle Korver, I'm actually pretty shocked the team hasn't really picked him up as of yet. I mean, he is 39 years of age. This is most likely going to be his last season. So, I mean, if you're a team like the Golden State Warriors, a contender that could use a shooter, possibly even the LA Lakers could bring him in. But I can tell with the last season or so that Kyle Korver isn't really as needed as much to be playing. Nicholas Batum, all right, this is a very underrated pick for any team. If you're a team that needs a wing that can score and a playmaker, you want to pick him up. I think if you're the Houston Rockets and if you're keeping James Harden, Russ, and DeMarcus Cousins, you want to bring in Nicholas Batum. The only reason why he's downgraded right now is he had that crazy big contract with Charlotte. Charlotte finally waived him on his last year, so they're probably going to pay him, I think, like $9 million for the next 3 seasons, something like that. But Nicholas Batum, still young, 31 years of age. Oh man, if you're a team and you need scoring as a wing, pick him up. First thing that came to mind is the Houston Rockets. I think the Brooklyn Nets could really use him as well. Possibly the Dallas Mavericks, but Nicholas Batum, very underrated. Emmanuel Mudiay, 24 years of age. We thought he had a bunch more potential, and I think he'll probably be out of the league in the next 3 to 4 seasons, if anything. Dion Waiters, I don't think the Lakers are bringing him back. I think Dion's pretty much done with the league. He got his championship. He had the gummy bear, incidents with the edibles, and I don't think a team wants to really put him in. I mean, he's 28 years of age. He's pretty much a mid-range type of game. I don't really see anything within here. And you got to remember, when it comes to the new bargain agreements, when these players are now getting paid, role players are getting paid around $15 million to $20 million, there's not enough cap space for any of these other players. And we see a bunch of younger players in the draft. They're actually way better than we've expected, and a bunch of guards out here. So basically, in the NBA around two decades ago or so, you could be around 35 and you could still be playing on a team. But now in this day and age, if you're around 28, 29 as a role player, you'll pretty much be cut off from the league and you won't be able to join a team anymore. It's been really cranking up the last 3 seasons or so, which just says something. Quinn Cook, 27 years of age, very young. Hopefully he finds a team like, he could be a second point guard off the bench, most likely now a third. So if you're a team like the Celtics, you really need another backup point guard in there. The Portland Trailblazers could really use him as well. What else? I mean, he fits more as a contender. The Philadelphia 76ers, I mean, he can hit the 3. He has 3 championships now. Quinn Cook, very underrated. I want him on my team. Evan Turner is pretty much done with the league. Damari Carroll, pretty much done. Zizic. Man, yeah, I told you guys before this draft. This draft class is pretty whack, and these are just kind of the garbage right now. I think J.R. Smith is pretty much just going to retire. He's done with. Jared Dudds, I don't know if the Lakers are going to bring him back for one last season or so, but if not, I think he should just retire after this. Andre Roberson, he's done with. Can't shoot. I think Tyson Chandler, he can play one last season in the league. If you're a team like the Brooklyn Nets, you definitely want to pick him up. Just a veteran presence, a defensive anchor. Who else? I think the Dallas Mavericks, go pick up Tyson Chandler. Kind of a culture setter within there. The LA Clippers, bring him in. You know, he can play for any contender, man. The Rockets really did him dirty, the small ball. Tyler Johnson, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I think the Lakers, not the Lakers, I don't know if the Mavericks are going to pick him back up. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think, man, Allen Crabbe is very underrated, man. He was pretty much like a six man with the Blazers 2-3 seasons ago, and he was popping, man. But now, no team just wants him, which is pretty wild. I think if you're the Blazers, man, you can bring him back on that team. Or if you need a really like a six-man hot shooter off the bench, you want to pick up Allen Crabbe. Nene, Shumpert, these guys are probably much out of the league. Bellinelli, I think he may be done with. Yeah, that's how it is. But yeah, nothing too crazy when it comes to this video and basically these players out here, but the teams are pretty much settled in the league. Each team pretty much has 13 roster slots already filled out. They just need to get the two remainders. That's why I have the Lakers head over heels over all the other teams in the NBA as of right now. But there's a couple other little moves you can make with. I mean, for example, out of the few right here, Hassan Whiteside, if he takes like a 1-year vets minimum or something small, mid-level exception, he could really help out a contender. Same thing with Isaiah Thomas, Reggie Jackson, of course. Besides from that, those are pretty much the only 3 to 4 players that can actually make something pretty nice. But besides that, nothing else really to cover here. I'm out.